Hello, Great Minds. Welcome to this episode. Happy to have you back. We hope you enjoy yourself and do well to follow us on our social media platforms. It's Great Minds Africa.
Welcome everybody. Today's episode. I'm here in the studio with Christine and Tina. Hi. So today
Hi.
I have a very interesting experience I want to share with both of you.
Oh, really? Shoot.
I have a very interesting experience I want to share with both of you.
Curious. Please shoot.
We can talk about it. So a few days ago, my wife came back from work, all tired and looked a bit gloomy. When she opened the door, I was teaching our kids homework, and once she saw us, her face brightened up and she opened her arms wide with the expectation that the kids were going to come and embrace her. And that didn't happen. They just took one look at her and then looked back to their homework books
I don't know whether laugh
and
or
continued
sad.
and they continued doing the homework. So I welcomed her and saw that she had become embarrassed because she had opened up her arms and she just had to put it back down. And then she just
I
managed
expected that.
to just say hi. And she was even confused as to whether she should come and sit by us or just go into the room. Then before I noticed, the next thing was her eyes had welled up with tears and she just, dashed into the bedroom. So I was just sitting down there in the living room after
Darling.
what had happened, and I called the children. I'm like, did you not see mommy that you'll go and hug her? Then my eldest daughter, who is 4 years now, says, but we are doing our homework. And then I just look at her, I'm like, you're doing your homework, but you could have said hello to mommy at least. And then I took them all into the room to go and just welcome mommy. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing was quite sad. So she came to me and said she's trying to basically like get another job because she feels this one is not giving her the kind of time that she needs. Sometimes she has to stay out late as 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Sometimes she'll have to come around 9 p.m., plus Accra's traffic as well. On the day she's able to close early, she gets home around 6. But that is not a lot of the time. And it's beginning to drain her energy. It's beginning to drain her time, with the family. So she tells me that she's trying to see if she can get another job now and then because the work-life balance for her it's just not working out. Now, I just wanted to throw this to both of you. I mean, what are your thoughts on these kind of things? Both of you are women working full-time jobs as well. So I'd like to hear what your experiences are or what your thoughts are on this particular topic. Augustina, Christine, over to you. Let me hear your thoughts.
That's very, very interesting. I know if it's me, I'll feel some way as well. I mean, that's a mutual feeling. You expect your kid to give you that warm hug after a stressful day, and then you don't get that. It's not a good feeling.
Let me give a little more context on this. So my wife is an experiential marketer, and by that, what I mean is she works with these marketing agencies. So usually there comes a time or like some of their works are seasonal during the Christmas time. So from November to December, there's a lot of activities going on. The beginning of the year, everybody wants to start, with their marketing plans and start the year right. So usually from the latter part of the year to the beginning of the year, say by March, there's a lot of activities going on. She will be either traveling or spending long periods, even to the point where she has to be bringing work home. So for these periods, she comes back home late. Let me say 2 or 3 times in the week. That she comes beyond 9 p.m. 2 or 3 times in the week. Then particular cases where she has to stay till maybe 1 a.m. But in the morning or every morning, she takes the kids to school. So that has become the routine. The routine time or the experience she has with the kids is usually in the morning. In the evenings, if she happens to come very early, she takes charge of teaching them the homework, plays with them, and all of that. But it just seems like it's not enough. And the kids have become or are more used to me.
The very first question that comes top of my mind is a world of work being created in such a way that it factors to a very minimal level the people that are players, key players in this world of work. So, for example, a mother, a working mother, are we creating the workspace in such a way that it has no place for you, especially if you want to be present in the growing up in the life of your children? That's what my mind is
So,
thinking about. Then before we dissect that, I saw something to set the pace for the conversation. I saw something on social media currently, and it says that it's a research in a book written by somebody, and says that we have not built a human need first society. We have built a business needs first society, and it's starting to show. People are tired, like really tired. The title of the article is The Cure for Burnout: How to Find Balance and Reclaim Your Life. So this scenario that Senna has painted, the question that is lingering on my mind is that, have you built a business needs first society rather than building a human needs first society? That's how come all these things are coming to play. Because I wonder the kind of people that will raise if our mothers are staying up, are staying awake till 1 a.m. consistently. I wonder the kind of next generation will raise if our fathers come home burnt out totally to the point that they can barely even lift a finger.
The article, I believe, yes, most of the time we are not building a lot of human connection, except when we go on site and we have closing times, right? But I believe we spend most time at work than we do at home. That's also another one, the community at work.
Step back. The question I want to ask based on this article is that you as a mother, you are a mother, Senna is a father. You as a mother currently, the world of work, has it been structured in a way that it allows you fulfill the goals that you have for your family? The same to Senna, the world of work currently, the way it is structured, does it allow you to engage with your family, see their growth, everyday growth and all that? Go for their open day and all that.
Currently, for me, yeah.
Why do you say so?
Because I close at the exact time I'm supposed to close, and it will only be a few times that I go beyond it, which would not even relatively like affect the time I spend with my kid. If I'm supposed to close at 4, I close at 4. If I have to do an extra time, then it won't be like a repeated thing, just be a seldom thing.
And do you have the chance to go for your kids' open day at 12 noon or at 1 during weekday? Do you have the time to, probably the way your work is structured now, is it possible for you to go for your kids, let's say sports, whatever, week, soccer, whatever?
Currently, I mean, even the school right now also factor certain things in it that they can also have a virtual thing for you to be part of it. So, still, yes, it does for me.
Okay, this is where I am currently. I think I agree perfectly with the article that we are building a business needs first society and not building a human needs first society. So that's how come we have higher level of stress, people dying at very tender age, we have a higher level of lifestyle diseases and all that. Why am I saying that? So for example, in Sene's wife circumstance, for I expect that if we have such a person on the team, we should have structures in place to accommodate her current reality as a mother. So either we make her work in such a way that she can go and continue at home so that she can go and pick her kids from school or be around when they're eating dinner and all that. That way she gives off her best, because the little experience I've had with people management, especially in the world of business, is that the more the worker's mind is at ease and the family life is sorted to a very large extent, it doesn't need to be perfect, but sorted to a very large extent, the best results you can get from the worker. Why am I saying that? Currently, I was listening to the outgoing NCN Ghana CEO, and he was talking about one of the factors that contributed to his success is that COVID forced them to work from home. Then after COVID, they adopted an approach where you work 3 days at home, 2 days in the office. And according to their statistics, productivity has increased, innovation on the rise. And he says that what they tied that to was the fact that their workers are, first of all, having family issues sorted. They are no longer stressed out because of traffic. They're no longer stressed out because of you have to be in office 24/7 for productivity or for work to move on and all that. So at the end of the day, that's one of the major factors for their people growth. And I personally think that that is what the world of work should start thinking about. I personally think that currently, for example, might not be able to experience the stress of an Accra mother because of where you are. You can virtually plan your time and all that. You can just go on the road, and a journey that takes you 30 minutes to the house will take you 2 hours without any cost. So it makes even planning difficult if they approach you like everyday single worker who doesn't have family and other key responsibilities at home.
That's true. I mean, you're spot on. I think that The article is I mean I'd love to read it if you can send it to me.
I'll share with you after the studio session.
The business world we have currently has become so competitive, and I feel even it's more so for the women, because they are trying to compete at levels that men are doing, want to show that they can equally do the task men can.
I
And I
agree.
believe that it is the same reason that they are outdoing themselves at work at the detriment of, their responsibilities at home. I may not be spot on. I don't want the feminists to come for my head for what I'm saying, but it's the fact of the matter, because a lot of the women have fought for, equal rights at work, equal opportunities, equal chances. But some of these um, opportunities come with very demanding tasks, and you do not want to. I mean, an HR does not want to overlook a mother because she's a mother. They've just put it out there. If you want it, work for it. If we find that your performance is great, we will give you the promotion. So it's no longer just the man's world; it's everybody's world. And the women I can see are taking advantage of this opportunity that has been brought before them. But now the homes or their children are getting lesser time. They themselves are not available, and I believe that some of these things are part of the problems for divorce in our time.
I have a
Okay.
question that
Okay.
currently we have more females playing higher roles or taking on more demanding responsibilities in the world of work. How is the world of work also adjusting to accommodate them? I think that will be the next thing that I would want to talk about or ask. How are we adjusting to accommodate them? Are we still doing the status quo the same, knowing very well that now the players are different?
So for people abroad, I must say, I mean, not for people abroad, for everybody, COVID came as a disaster, but ended up being somewhat a blessing in the business world. In that, like you rightly said, research has shown that productivity was much higher during people's stay at home during the period of COVID, to the point where in America now, from what my sources tell me, including friends and family there, infrastructure is not being used now, and they have to basically force people to come into work, because now it has been realized that work can be done at home, except for those people that must be physically present to carry stuff and then do physical activity. But anybody working on data, information, whatnot, is able to do that at home. They're able to have meetings at home, communicate at home, talk to clients over the phone, and it's effective. So that opportunity has brought itself, and the West is taking advantage of it. Nonetheless, here in Ghana, I can't speak to the rest of Africa. I see it much differently, and I must admit that I know some companies have tried this, and they have realized that it just doesn't work with their system. During the period of COVID, it worked, but post-COVID, it's not working. How so? One of my friends shared an experience with me and why the company had to scrap all this thing from home. So he tells me that during working hours where they call individuals that are supposed to be working from home, all they'll hear is, I'm out at the moment. When I get home, tend to it. Then 2, 3 hours. Information that they want now is taking 2, 3 hours to get done. Sometimes you want to call for a meeting, people are not available to take that meeting. Meanwhile, this is during working hours. We have, I mean, and maybe some of the things are not people's fault. People living in compound houses, and you have people pounding for food. So like you're having a meeting, somebody's supposed to share information, and then you hear, people pounding fufu and whatnot in the background. So they just had to scrap this whole bit off. So it's probably not working for Africa, but the avenue has been made for work-life balance to actually go on smoothly in the West, where now a lot more flexibility. Yeah, and so it goes.
I get you perfectly, but the question that me and questions, what comes top of my mind is that our people managers, are they using blanket approach to solve this problem? And I think what you just outlined is not only peculiar to Africa. I think it's a world workforce issue where some individuals are just not responsible. So the question is that, are we giving policies, blanket policy that affects everybody, both the responsible and will I call it irresponsible, those who don't know how to handle some of these laissez-faire or open approaches? I think that our people managers need to sit up, because where we are headed now, using blanket solutions because one person is not able to handle the work from home policy properly, everybody come back to the office. There's this viral video and the lady was saying something, and I like how she admitted. She said that she and one of her colleagues were asked to come back to the office during COVID, even though the larger team, they were working at home. And why? Because She was dozing off. She would go and watch Netflix and all that, to the point that when it's time for her to work, she's not able to work. So what her manager did was to ask her to come to the office alone without asking the larger team to come to the office. Can we start thinking of such things? Also, I think it's a two-way street with the workforce. Can the workforce also start thinking of how to be responsible when such policies are also put in place? Can we start thinking of how to make sure that we negotiate and assure our managers that we will be responsible when you give us A, B, C, D? And it's not because we want to be lazy, it's not because we want to drop the ball, but it's because we want to give you good work from a place of peace, from a place of rest, from a place of how do you call it, innovation and all that. So I think those are the two things that we have to start thinking about. My next question is that we want to revert to what used to be, where our women are kept women, where our women stay at home and do the work that you can do from home, probably tailoring and all that on a very small scale. So you bring a cloth, if she can sew it, she'll tell you. If no, she'll tell you no. She doesn't have enough time to sew and all that. Do we want to go back to that era?
No, I don't think that that will even happen, right? We are evolving, so it will never even get to that point where we go back there.
Why do you think so?
Like I
Why?
said, we are evolving, so it will never get back to that.
But see, I'm wondering why you think we will never get there. We won't go
That's
back
why
to
I
that era.
said
We were
that's what I'm saying, that we are evolving. We've tasted what it is now that we are working mothers, right? And we will not go back there. We have evolved. We won't go
Is
back
it
there
because mental freedom? Is it because what? Why do you think we will
because
not want
I
to go back there?
number one is that we've explored our skills and we feel that we are up to the task. We feel that our mind can be utilized to do more. What we are actually limiting ourselves is that to negotiate. That's one thing I wanted to talk about because I have experienced these and I have actually negotiated that no, I'm going to do the job for you. I'm giving you integrity. I have show track record of the fact that I can actually do the work and I'm going to do it and do it very well. But when it comes to my kid, I'll go and pick my kid. And when I meet HR with that, knowing the policy very well and knowing what I can also negotiate with, I had the power. So the fact that we are not able to do these things is rather the problem. Know your end game, know your plan. How am I going to present it that it will look like a win-win situation?
So you're saying somebody like Our Lady should go to the workplace and negotiate
Yes.
for flexible work hours and all
Yes,
that we are
she
talking
should,
about.
should do that. That oh, I'm going to do A, B, C, and D. This is how I can tackle it. And when I do this, I need this and this time to spend with my family. And I think that should be able to work. It's because we don't know the policy that is guiding most of the thing. We feel that it's HR who is supposed to know, and that is it. And that is when they also have power over you. But the employment law is not only for the HR; it's for all of us. So once you know all these things, you can go and negotiate.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's interesting, Faustine. True, what Faustine is saying, and that is how it should go, where you can negotiate and say, I'm going to get the job done, but I need to do this and this and this. Nonetheless, you see, the nature of the business world dictates that everybody there is looking to outdo or outperform each other because the space at the top or management positions are not many. And the same position you are fighting for is the same position other colleagues are fighting for, whether male or female, single woman. So it more or less comes out as though you are making excuses not to be able to, to put in the time. Even though you are putting in the work, some of the work will need more time on office premise. So where we now come and try and finish it up, they want to finish it up before they go home, which is why they'll close at 2 a.m. and rather go and come back later in the day or not. It's a bit different from what it is out there.
There is another approach to things because when I'm talking, I'm not talking about abroad or anything. I'm talking about me as like a local, as an indigenous coming from Ghana. I'm talking about my experience back home. I'm talking about what I have done. When I work at one of the big institutions, university, and when I got there, you are right on something. I realized there's competition. People want to do very well so that they get their promotion. Then I sat down and I realized that everybody has taken a role. I'm not getting anything. I'm not doing anything that would be peculiar that when they mentioned first thing, they'll say, hey, no, she's good at this. She's the only one that can do it. then I start looking out for things that are not being done well. They are being done. I didn't say they are not being done. I said they are not being done well. And I've already figured out how to go about it. So I took it upon myself because at the time, no one wanted to do it. When I did it, and I've shown that this method is actually working, when they go for their meeting, they all decided that I should take over. Now, the fact that I have taken over and I'm doing it very well because it means I have already put things in place. I have strategized. Once I have done that, I have showed certain credibility that when you give this to Faustine, she will do it and do it well. And when she do it, you will like it. Once I have that, I have a leverage to use. So while competition is going on, there is always a strategy that will be peculiar to you. And when you use it, you can leverage it to get a lot out of it. Yes, competition is going on. What is it that they are not doing that I have gotten? What is it that when I implement it and I start doing it, is going to pave way? So when you come forward to negotiate, you'll be sure to know that this will not backfire. That was all I used.
What happens if you negotiate and you hit the wall? The negotiation doesn't yield the results that you're looking for.
Perfect question. So if it doesn't hit
Yeah.
the wall, you go back, re-strategize, do something, and know that okay, at this point, if I'm missing an action, how would they go about it? Once you prove your absence and it failed, and then you come back and you do the right thing again and you negotiate, they are going to know that at this point in time, when she was not there, no one could do it best. Because sometimes that is the only way your employer will know your value. They just feel like everybody is doing something.
Because I've seen circumstances where the people know your value, they know your value and all that, but they are just not adamant because they claim that they don't want to open the floodgate. They don't want to open that conversation where they will say you've given Kofi this AAA flexibility or privilege, so you must automatically. So this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that we must start tackling it from the bottom and even take it away from whether you have family, you're married, and all that. Just an individual worker, whether you're married, single, whatever. I think what's very important for us to start doing is sit down and see what do I want my life to look at, even as a worker or as somebody with a career. Am I somebody that at the parental phase of my life, okay, do I want my kids, the stage in which they are, do they need me only on weekends? Or they need me only in the morning, or they need me more time at home, or they need me at this time. Okay, I'm
Exactly.
single, but because I want to develop other parts of my life, I want to pick up habits. I'm prone to, let's say, depression and all that. So I need to have exercise time, this time, and all that. What kind of work will best suit me? I think that's where we have to start thinking about. That's where we have to start thinking from and approaching the world of work from. Know how the world of work is. That's number one. Then number two, you target industries that will allow you play based on your peculiar need. So let me use myself as an example. I am the type that I do well when I have thinking time, when my mornings are slow. So I wake up in the morning, I'm listening to a podcast or something, and I take an hour in the shower. I sit down and I eat breakfast before I start my day. I am very productive when I have slow mornings compared to wake up at 3:30. Within 2 minutes, I have to finish brushing my teeth. 3 minutes, I have to be hopping on the next bus, pick this car. Either I'm picking car or I'm joining traffic, driving my car, this one, and all that. Then get to the office, like that fast-paced thing. I can be mechanical, but I will not produce any genius solution away. So what did I do? I sat down and I asked myself, what skill set do I need to be able to afford slow mornings, to be able to afford days that I can say, I'm not doing work. I'm just going to detox from work, detox from the plenty solutions I need to bring to work and all that, and now come back with rejuvenated energy. Then I got those skills. Then the next thing I asked myself, how do I make sure that I go to workplace that allow for flexibility? They look at the results more than where the result is given. So whether I am able to draft the best proposal while sitting on my toilet seat, excuse me to say, or while in my kitchen or something, they don't care. The most important thing is that do you give us results and the type of results we look forward to? And I applied myself in that kind of industry. So I think that's also some things that you have to start thinking about so that you don't find yourself in a space where what you are looking for, what you need they can't give you, or they are not there yet, and probably you might negotiate for the rest of your life and still get frustrated and burnt out.
Then I quit
You
for something that would suit
yeah,
me
yeah,
at
You
yeah.
that.
might probably
So
be coming from a place of privilege. There are some of us that if we don't work for 1 month, we are burning. We have to constantly work because we have bills to pay, and there's virtually nobody to
yeah.
lean on to pay those bills.
So this is it. This is and it's excellent your submission. It's important to know type of person you are first off, the type of industry you want to be in, because some of the industries like the financial sector, that's a very fast paced area to be in because they are doing transactions, across the globe, and even at points where you are sleeping, business deals are still going on. So by the time you wake up, things have already been done and you have to catch up. So it's very important to know. There are people that go into certain workspaces and know that this is the culture there. It is highly competitive, and yet they start with a lot of enthusiasm. Then along the line, they begin to tire and then they begin to stress out. But you knew before you went into the that industry. So at what point has it become very tiring? Because you got married, because you
You
started to
know,
have children,
exactly. And
and
sometimes too, no, I wanted to say that sometimes, when you're outside something, you think, oh, this, your analysis or your gauge of the thing might be different when you are in it.
yeah, that's true.
I don't know where you're getting me. So some
So I do.
people have
I
that
get you.
analysis only for them to get in and realize that, oh, it's not really working. Or probably their health might take a different turn and they
Yeah.
have to adjust accordingly.
So let me give this personal life experience concerning this. So when after school, when I was searching for a job, I was not getting any job until I landed my first job, which was with this job just gave me too much flexibility when we're doing it, such that I just seemed like I became accustomed to it. So in my next job, which was a soap company, I was met with same kind of a culture where it was result oriented, goal oriented, and that was it. And I must say that the people you work for too are very important. If they understand that business, you are fine. Fortunately for me, this culture I feel is not something we have really in Africa or in Ghana. Let me this is more or less. So let me my bosses or the people I work for, both in the car rental, are people that lived in abroad, that's schooled in abroad. They kind of culture, and that is what I've enjoyed till this day. So even though the what you call it, the money may not be as great as somebody else's, that kind of flexibility it gives me is to me I do that for anything else. So it affords me the time to be able to be with my family, to be able to do other things, and sometimes even just have a day for myself. And I think that it's important for people to actually research into the businesses or the industries they want to go into so that they're not caught by surprise when it becomes so demanding or the culture themselves.
I agree. I think there's no industry that is not highly competitive. They are all highly competitive. What we also have to start thinking about is that the world of work should not squeeze life out of you. That's all that me I keep saying. The world of work should not squeeze life out of. How do I mean? It shouldn't be structured in such a way that the work expect you not to have any other life apart from work life. That's how come we have this high level of depression, high level of people feeling empty and all that, burnout and all that. Is because we are treading on a certain path that squeezes life out of you when you're giving yourself to work. So you barely have time to even eat. So you see people with pot belly and all that simply because they can only eat at night. You see people eating in traffic. Then when you flip it, the workforce too, they have their responsibility. What is their responsibility? To be responsible and make sure that they are not micromanaged and make sure that situations like what Senna gave us, where you call your colleague. I used to experience that with one of my colleagues, where when we were on the lockdown, you call him and he's never reachable, never ever reachable. And I wonder, so who is going to entrust this work from home whatever in your hands if we go back to the office? Because you are never reachable, and you know that this is like work period that you're supposed to sit down and be accessible. But you call the person and the person, you're getting issue, the person is in the car, then they tell you I'm not with my laptop. Whilst you're expecting that you should be paid for work done, whilst you're on your own.
Yeah, you're on
So we
working
how do you
hours.
call it? Thank you. So I think we also have to know that it is possible. I think that's very important to me. That it is possible to give yourself to work and not have work squeeze life out of you, depending on how you also approach the world of work. From a place of responsibility, from a sense of high duty, and work too should know that now productivity is not tied to the place that you do the work. So these are two things that we all have to start thinking about on both sides of the divide. Then to your wife's issue, for example, one thing I want us to also know is that life is in stages. Every stage of your life and your career would demand something. There was a time when I was in school, I virtually had to cut my hair. Why? Because I barely have time to spend 6 hours, 8 hours in the salon braiding the kind of hair that I currently have on my head. So that's one of the things that I needed to give up. So I think that's one thing that we also have to make peace with. We have to know that the fact that we are currently losing out on something for a period of time, it doesn't mean that it's going to be lost on us forever unless we don't have a plan. Every stage of our life would definitely demand something from us. There should be a give and take. And that's one thing that we should know. We should have at the back of our minds. We should be able to make peace with. That way, we'll have better mental health and all that.
It's interesting you brought this up, and it's true. At every point in time in our life, it may not last for long, or I mean, it definitely will not last for long, but it's something we must give that EVT, for example. Now, what I decided to do, was when I came back from work early, I'll call, and the kids were home, I'll call her on video call, waiting for you, gave them a gift she brought. So that kind of worked out, well, and they're beginning to just understand that we are not always going to be there, but every time we are there, we're going to spend the time with them. So yeah, sacrifices would definitely come, but we just need to find ways around it at all the time and be able to solve some of it.
Yeah, the reason why I said even I'll quit was that if something is not going on well, imagine it's a toxic work environment. It's not because of bill I will be there, but before you quit, you have to have a roadmap to get something that will work out for you. If you cannot be there, you cannot be there. So you have to consider a lot of things. At this stage of my life, my kids are in their prime. They need much more time. Can I negotiate? If you can, fine. If you cannot, have a roadmap to do it that way. If they are not going to agree with you, and if you cannot use the policy to also get your way out and it's not going to work for you, you just make a roadmap and leave. And it doesn't only apply to women, it applies to everyone, men too. Like a child that is growing, the child needs both parents, present parents. That's what I believe.
I think it depends on the stage, every stage, and what the child needs. So you should know the stage and the type of child that you have. There are some kids that don't need 24 hours presence of their parents.
Talking about present parent, I don't mean like 24 hours, right? But I mean that it needs both parents to raise the kid, especially
Definitely.
as the child has seen both of them. So what I was saying was that it's not only even about women trying to make sure that they spend time with their kids, it needs fathers as well. So whilst the fathers are also being competitive at work and stuff, they should also make sure that they are incorporating work-life balance in their life to include their kids.
I get you. I'm even taking it another layer where I think that's a big topic on its own. Whether parents are involved enough in the lives of their children, that's also a big topic on its own. But what I'm even thinking about is that so that it will also tackle the reality that we face now. Now the world of work is competitive, and so it demands a whole lot from you because expectation of management is that we have tools to hasten your work and make your work easier and faster. So we put a lot on your plate. I'm currently speaking as a people manager, and that's the truth. So I expect that because, let's say, for example, Excel can be taught on YouTube and all that, you should be able to school yourself on how to use some of the shortcuts. And when I give you an assignment that if you don't know the shortcuts is going to take you 2 hours to do, knowing the shortcut is going to take you 30 minutes. It's 30 minutes that I'm gauging for that work because my expectation is that you should be able to arm yourself with the necessary tools that would hasten your work and make your work faster.
Think
Fine.
most people do that. They feel like I've been doing this work, it's been good enough for them, and they don't even try to improve upon how best I can do this. And I don't think everyone does it. Some who.
Exactly. Do you know why? Because now we have big economic downturn. So we want to see how we can squeeze as much as we can from each individual worker. So that's what is happening. However, it's also important that the individual worker also learns how to be strategic and work smart. Like, how much time do you use to do the chatting? How much time do you spend in the kitchen? Do you spend 2 hours, 3 hours in the kitchen just chatting with your colleague? How focused are you when you come to work? Are you distracted by something whilst working. So work that is supposed to take you 2 hours, taking you 1 hour. I think those things too, we have to start looking at it. Do you have productivity chart for yourself? Knowing that probably when I come early in the morning, that's where I'm most productive and I have to focus on work. Do I join office conversation that morning? All those things are also things that we have to start thinking about. So how are we managing our time? How are we managing our time?
Time
How are we
management is a very big issue, and most people just underrate it, right? So you
good?
see a job posted, and then the description is time management, and then people reply with their resume, and it's on it time management. Like, I know how to, but they start the work, and you realize that they don't know time management.
Photo. Then the next thing I want us to have at the forth our mind is that it's more of quality than quantity. So, for example, workers or the workforce shouldn't be thinking that management will think I'm a serious worker, I'm the best worker because I come at 6 and I close at 12 midnight. Best worker or productivity should be measured with what is this person bringing on the table and what's the quality of work this person brings, rather than how much time does the person spend awake. The person comes to work very early and all that, which is good, but is that all? Is that a parameter that we're using to promote the person? So that if workers with time are getting to understand that that's not the parameter, it's not a matter of me being the first to
But
open these doors and the
I,
last to leave.
I find it strange if, well, maybe you're right. People may do that, but it would just be strange to me if I come very early in the morning and I close late just to show
Yes,
that I'm
people do
serious.
that. People do that a
Because
lot.
if you are just sitting down there not working, your boss knows that you're not working. No, I don't think they're there
People
to
do
see you just sitting down there just waiting. Performance is not
people
on.
I have seen people like that. I have seen people that are just time conscious.
Wow.
People do that a lot. People still have the world of work with that mentality. The number of hours I appear. So am I coming on time? Am I coming before 8? And am I leaving after 5? People do that a lot. So they want to show their relevance to the work based on how much time they spend in the office premises. And I think we should be moving away from that. Both the manager and the team member.
Yes, and
That's
not
one.
only that, some people are also pleasing. They want to please their managers just to get favors. So they think that by pleasing them and boot leaking, they will get promotion. But
That one I think is a human thing which will always be there. I think it will always be there.
no, I mean,
You
produce something like quality, something, and let it be evident. You see,
I think
it shouldn't be that.
it's an individual thing that will always be there. There's some people that will want to approach getting to the top with their policies and who they know. Some people will get to the top with their work quality and all that. I think that one is an individual choice and what works for you.
My workplace recently were discussing that they had to start evaluating the managers. And one of the managers said, "Oh, we actually employ top notch people. There's no need for it." And I disagree. I didn't see it there, but at that moment, I disagree that the fact that you think you employ the best does not mean that they shouldn't be evaluated. And I couldn't even believe that all this while they were not evaluating them until recently, that they are now even considering doing evaluation for that. So how do you prove that hiring this person as a manager was cost effective for the organization or the institution? It was just something I couldn't figure out. Like, how do we get there?
Exactly. And I agree because they need to be appraised not because they are not the best or they don't know their left from right, but because of growth. It's an opportunity to grow. So you see that, okay, let's see, I've done more of this and it got me here. So that means next time if I want to be here, I need to do this. So I perfectly agree with you. I perfectly agree with you. Perfectly agree with you.
Let me just add this.
Please do.
So in the workplace where there's also politics, favoritism, favorite person, and you feel like the result should show for that. If both of you are at par, definitely they'll pick him or her ahead. If your work outlines your line manager's favorite person, or it makes it easier for you to get promoted, which is why some people,
I
just
agree.
go ahead to outwork themselves, put all their energy into to the work they do.
So my takeaway from this is that I have actually gotten to a point in my life where I evaluate all these things and see if I have have to maybe travel for work, or I have to be traveling long distance for work for a long time, irrespective of the money. How sustainable would that be for me? How will it benefit my kids at these foundational stages that they are on? And how will it help me? So I consider all these things and see whether I have the needed support to be able to pull it. If yes, how long will I stay on it for? Can I negotiate at work? If I do, will it help me have a work-life balance? So I put a lot of things in consideration. If I'm not already doing some, it will be that I'll have to also reconsider some of these things and make sure that I don't miss out on my kids.
So I think the key takeaway from all of this is that we should be intentional about our negotiations, especially before we start work. We should also research into the places that we are going to do our work. So if I want to go into this space, this workplace, I should be able to know that here demands a lot of time and may not be able to support me in terms of family life and all of that. So if I'm going here, I should know what it entails so that you don't go in and then get caught up in that place. It's also important to be able to manage your time well. And I think sometimes we should just focus on ourselves rather than focus on the business, too much. Because in our quest to sometimes follow work, we may end up losing ourselves. And at a certain point in time, it may even be too late for us to now say you want to discover who you are. You'll just get lost in that phase. So it's something that we must be intentional about in our thinking.
Okay, so my closing comment will be that we have to have it at the back of our minds that if you allow or you put yourself in certain positions, work is ready to seize the life out of you. Most workplaces will seize life out of you. So it's important to know what you want and how to get what you want. How do I mean? So I got this advice from one of the business leaders that I engage with. He said that, Tina, always know what you want out of every situation. And I thought that was spot on. That's been lingering on my mind for the past 1 month now, because I think he dropped this thing a month ago. How do I mean? When you are approaching the world of work, you should have it at the back of your mind what you want out of the situation. What are your negotiables and what are your non-negotiables? Currently, where I am now, my non-negotiable is that no work should be able to measure my worth, my productivity, and my efficiency based on how much I show up at a physical building rather than how much I give to work. I think that's more important to me than anything. Number two, it's also very important for our people managers to grow with the people so that they can retain the best talent. What do I mean? Understand the current workforce and what we are evolving or metamorphosing into. So are the people growing into A, B, C, D type of people? Therefore, they will need XYZ type of life. We have very high rates of burnout, people dying behind their laptop. I have 2 family members that died that way in the space of 1 year. We have people dying in their prime because of exhaustion, the number of hours they spend in traffic and all that. They're not able to eat quality food because they can't cook at home and all that. So it's also very important for the world of work, for our people management to start building our workplaces to accommodate our basic life needs, such as having time to eat, such as having time to just detox, get away from the screen and just detox. Should be able to get up every 15 minutes. Work should not put you in a chokehold that you can't do any of those things, because that's how to get the best out of the people. I personally don't like my team members coming to work looking tired and fatigued. I get really worried because I ask myself, what is the quality of work this person can give me with this kind of face, with this kind of looking tired and all that? They won't be able to give me good work. So those are some of the things that we have to think about. We have a responsibility as job owners, and we also have responsibility as workers. How do we meet each other halfway? Thank you. All too soon, we've come to the end of this episode. The conversation continues on our next episode. Kindly do well to take a listen, and let's keep the conversation going on our social media platforms. It is Greatminds Africa. Remember, you were born great, so thrive.